Welcome to Open Arms, an honest conversation about firearms. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Brian Lockerman. And one of the biggest issues that we have been uh, finding out is the mental health issue and gun ownership. But not only that, there's also a lot of mental health issues just with anyone and everyone. Myself too, I have some personal experience. Nikki, how about you?
Mental health. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's one of those things where, you do at one point in your life either know somebody, know a family member, or something like that,
Yeah, and you don't know what to do, especially if you do have guns in the house and it's not safe for your family member.
Exactly. And when we've been bringing people into our training classes back in the day, they've always asked us, they always said, hey, I have a son or a daughter or whatever, a family member that's they're not mentally safe right now to have a gun in the house. And we never knew where to put that person, but now we do. Today on my show, I have Mike Sodini from Walk the Talk America. Mike, thank you for coming aboard.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's long overdue.
I know,
I'm
right?
supposed to do the show for a long time.
I know. Mike and I, we go back many, many years. We worked together probably, I don't know what, about 12 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. We were doing some projects back there back in the day. And all of a sudden, he popped up with this Walk the Talk America. Now, give everybody just an overview of what Walk the Talk America is.
Okay, so Walk the Talk America is an organization that I started in 2018 that bridges the gap between the mental health community and the firearms industry. So we basically look for innovative ways to get people help when they're in crisis without fear of consequence. And we look for ways to educate those inside the firearms industry, but also those outside of the industry about the 2A community. Many people don't realize that people outside of the Second Amendment, gun community don't realize that gun owners are afraid of losing their rights. And that's one of the barriers to entry for gun owners to get help. So we basically bring two worlds together that historically have sat on opposite sides of the room.
Very, very good. Now, do you have a staff of psychologists or people? How does this work?
No, we're not a mental health, conglomerate that's literally helping people. We do on our board of directors have 4 mental health clinicians, but they don't, they can only work in their states. But what we do is we form alliances with organizations like Mental Health America. Once again, going back to the education piece, right? Educating mental health clinicians, healthcare providers on the fears that gun owners have so they can be culturally competent in understanding the things that we go through as the gun community when we need to get help.
Gotcha. Okay. So, question for you then.
Sure.
We have a couple come into our safety training class, and they actually explained to us that they do have someone in their household that has a mental health issue. Do we contact you? Do they contact you? How does that work?
Well, so it depends on where they're at, right? But
Okay.
California has some of the best mental health resources for anybody who's in crisis. So basically, what we would recommend is go onto our website, take a screening, go through that entire process, see where this person's at when it comes to what level or what degree they need help in, right? So is this severe? Is it, mild anxiety? Our screening process is one of the coolest tools out there because it has so many different categories. There's screenings for depression, there's screening for anxiety, substance abuse issues. So figuring out where you fall or where you might have some questions about yourself or maybe it's a loved one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Have them go through that process. And once they hit the end of that, then you can formulate a plan on what needs to be done.
That's amazing. Now this doesn't just have to be someone that wants to own a gun. This could be anybody.
This honestly could be anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, there's nothing in the screening process that asks you about firearms.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons why we were attracted to Mental Health America, because they were an organization that said, look, going to be an unpopular opinion amongst our peers, but we are going to stay gun neutral.
Yeah.
Because we don't believe just because you battle or suffer from a mental illness that you deserve your rights to be restricted.
Exactly. And another thing too, Mike, I think a lot of people too might actually are afraid to admit they have this, or a loved one has it, or a friend has it, and they tend to just let's just sweep it under the rug and not worry about that. I think people have to start really taking more notice to this.
Well, yeah. So let's just take the gun ownership aspect
Mhm.
out of it for a second.
Yeah.
Like people don't want to come forward because of the stigma of mental health, right? Like no one wants to be considered or think of themselves as damaged or weak or anything like that. Now let's bring the gun aspect into it. Like by nature, as gun owners, we are protectors. We are strong,
Uh-huh.
right? Because we are taking charge of our own defense and our own security for our family. So it's twice as hard for us to come forward and say there might be an issue, right? Because we have the whole we don't want to lose our guns,
Uh-huh.
we don't want to lose that right,
Yep.
and then we also have the I'm supposed to be tough.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be the protector. The protector is not supposed to falter in these situations.
Exactly. Now, let me ask you your opinion on this. What about, I know a lot of these psychologists or whatever like that, these institutes, they prescribe medication for people. What's your take on that?
You know, so I hate to sit there and try to blame medication for a lot of horrific things because there's millions of people that take medication
Yeah.
and never do anything wrong, right? First of all, when taking a medication, I think you always have to take it properly. And how many people take their medication properly? And when I say take it properly, I mean have a diary, monitor how you're feeling, right?
Mhm.
Cut out alcohol, cut out partying, all this stuff. Like really see what that medication is doing to your thought processes,
Yeah.
how it's affecting your brains. I never like to default to get on some meds, right? But I also don't want to stigmatize anybody that takes medication for their mind frame, and it works, right?
Yeah.
There's just like an old expression, right? Like remember the old expressions like "stay away from Mike, he's off his meds."
Uh-huh.
You don't ever hear people say "stay away from Mike, he's on his meds." So I just, I know it's not a popular opinion in especially in the 2A culture, right? Because we look for any kind of answer for something horrific. Like, could it have been
Exactly.
the medication? So I clearly, like I said, I think passing out pills to people and saying this is going to make you feel better is not the answer. I would say go through a number of different things when your mental state
Mhm.
is not good. Like try meditation, try yoga, exercising, right? Like
Yeah.
try all these other things, like reconnect with family and in your value system.
Exactly. And Nikki's always had those questions too, right, Nikki?
Yeah, about the medication, I was always, iffy about it. Like, I always think there's other avenues to go before you opt to the medication.
Yeah.
That was always my thought process too. So,
But I like what Mike just said when he's saying, the about the no alcohol, exercise, and more family,
connection.
connections.
Connections, right.
That says a lot because again, Mike, what our show's about. It's got gun safety, of course, and family values.
Right.
And of course we do tap on the mental health issues on gun ownership too as well. But I love that statement. That was a great statement. That's good to.
Yeah, I like, like if someone said to me, "Hey, look, I've exhausted all these other avenues. I really want to, my doctor has prescribed this medication. Some of the side effects may make me suicidal. Any of the stuff that you see on all the warning labels that we have to have because of the legal system." But my whole thing would be like, okay, let's create a plan around you taking this medication. Let's not go out boozing. Let's not go out partying.
Yeah.
Let's really give the medication a proper look. Let's keep a diary. Let's talk about the things you've been eating, right? Even down to your
There you go.
diet, right? And then let's also have a plan for your firearm while we're on this medication that might make you suicidal or have any kind of,
Exactly.
right?
Okay, now with saying that to people, I sometimes think that people are going to be just like, no, it's not me. No, I'm not doing it. Do you ever get that where people are just like so standoffish about it? Trying to get them to change their lifestyle a little bit?
Well, I think that when it comes from guys like you and I,
Mhm.
because we are gun people and we're trusted messengers
Yeah.
in the gun community, I think that's way more important. You understand what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah,
Like,
no, absolutely.
I think there's less pushback when it's like the ex owner of Eagle Imports or the Walk the Talk America guy who's made his whole career in the gun industry is telling me this, as opposed to maybe somebody else, like, I don't know, say a mental health therapist, right? Like we don't necessarily trust the outside sources. So I think the messenger is like super important when it comes to these things. But yeah, you're gonna get that.
Yeah.
No one wants to
Yeah.
hear like things are bad.
I know. It seems like one of those things. It's tough to really convince a person to really, go to that side.
Yeah, but that's like gun ownership and protecting and being the sheepdog and all those things. Like this is just another piece of it. Like we're
Yeah.
protecting our friends, we're protecting our family, and we want the best for them. And a lot of people don't think it, but gun owners are some of the most aware and prepared people on the planet, right? Like
100%.
right. So that's
Because
part of it.
we go through all that training, and we do go for self-awareness training and stuff like that. So you're right. We are prepared.
Right. So I think it's just like when you buy a gun, you think of what do we learn? We learn safety. The 4 safety rules get
Yep.
drilled in our head, right? We learn about what happens when you are in a defensive shooting situation. It's not going to be all puppy dogs and rainbows. You don't get to just shoot somebody and then just like, hey, they were breaking into my house. You got to be prepared for lawsuits. You're gonna get scrutinized. It's not going to be easy. And now we're adding this element to we need as gun owners to always go into this situation with a better mental health awareness of ourselves and a suicide prevention plan. That's a part of preparation.
Absolutely. 100% there.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said that people can go on your website and do the survey thing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they can go on and take a screening.
Okay, where is that?
It's WTTA.org /love, or just go to the WTTA page. You'll see a big thing for screenings. This is a screening. I just want to add this. A lot of people outside of the firearms community and the gun industry think that we don't do anything to address mental health. And I just want to say there's companies like Bursa and Ruger and Arms Corps that are putting this flyer in the boxes of all their firearms or on the side of their ammo boxes, addressing, mental health. They want their consumer, they want their customer to stay on top of their mental health because they care.
I know. I know. People don't think the gun manufacturers care, but they do.
They do,
They
and
really do.
and they're really jumping on board. I mean, we have probably over 20 different manufacturers, whether it's from there's plenty I'm leaving out, High Point, right? That are putting this card in the box. Century does it. We have optic companies that do it. We have ammo
Really?
companies
Oh, wow.
that do it. Yeah, so you're starting to see
That's good.
us as an industry kind of circle the wagons and say, look, we do have to address these negative outcomes of firearms because these negative outcomes of firearms are used against us. And I hate to see when like a Daniel Defense, gets sued because of their so-called marketing,
Yeah.
which we all know. Like if you're going to blame their marketing, you got to blame video games and music and everything else too. So it's like that's
Ridiculous.
just silly. But it's nice to see the industry starting to take a more proactive approach on getting ahead of this for the consumer.
That's really good to know, I mean, again, I go back to our show too as well. I mean, we're actually pushing this whole safety and family values thing too, and it's so important. These things are so important: the safety, the mental health, everything. And it seems like companies are starting to, are recognizing that, and it's a good thing. I love seeing it.
Yeah, we don't have to wait for any government entity to tell us to do this.
Yeah.
This is what I love about this whole thing is that when I do speaking events, like I was just up in Aspen at the Aspen Institute.
Oh yeah.
For the
You told me about
yeah.
it. So what happened there?
So I was invited for the first time in history, the Aspen Institute, to their health festival, which was last month, and I was asked to come speak on behalf of the gun industry on a panel. And the cool thing about it was I was welcomed with open arms. There's all kinds of speakers there.
Welcome with open arms. No pun intended.
No pun intended,
Yeah,
sir.
there you go.
Yeah, I got your back. No, so the going there and being able to speak to a crowd of a couple hundred people, and most of them have no expectation level of the gun industry.
Oh yeah.
There's just like no expectation level whatsoever, and to be able to go in there and show them like this card and the trainings that we do for mental health clinicians to get them CEU credits so they can be more culturally competent in the firearms industry, and programs that we have like Kids to Kings, which mentors underprivileged, underserved kids from communities that have never had guns introduced to them in a healthy way. It's always been in a negative light.
Yeah.
It really was cool because having people have no expectation level and then going in there and showing the crowd that we're not just this organization that uses the standard buzzwords of like, and the stigma and mental health awareness, and those are all important. I'm not, but saying like this is what we actually do, and having people come up to me after I had been on that panel and going, wow, you really changed my perspective. I really need to think about this in a different way. I didn't realize that these things were happening.
Exactly.
I didn't think that a company like Ruger had this in the box.
Yeah, right. See,
So
it's educating people and showing people that we care. And I'm seeing more and more people now coming to our side that have been always anti-gun owners, of course, because they see that we are, caring people.
well, and it's so important to go and actually speak at these events.
Oh yeah.
Just because people use terms like gun violence, right? And they don't separate out what the gun violence is. They lump it all together. And you can't solve anything if you just lump it all together. Inner city gang violence is completely a different approach than suicide, right? The majority of gun deaths in this country are still suicide, right? 2/3. We have to always go back to that. But you're not going to use the same approach that you're going to use in, say, some place like Compton, where people are dying in the streets, right, because of gun violence, as you are going to use with suicide prevention. So it's important to separate those things, to be able to have those discussions with people, to make them understand. There was a lot of people that when I said 2/3 of all gun deaths are suicide, you could see them in the crowd like, oh, wow. I didn't really think about that.
Yeah.
Because all they see is gun violence under this big umbrella.
Exactly.
And it's a sneaky way of kind of pandering to a certain crowd to get them to emotionally join your side. But when you're there to say like, here, we're working on it, these are the things we're doing, this is what we have to pay attention to, because really suicide is where we can actually make a huge dent. I'm not talking about suicide as a whole. I'm talking about suicide by firearms.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
No, I agree. Well, it's good to hear that you went up there and they accepted you and they engaged. And it's great to hear.
Yeah. No, it's anytime I get the opportunity to speak in outside of the echo chamber, I always take that opportunity, because I know I'm going to go in there and like I said, the expectation level is going to be so low because they've been told that all we care about is money. We don't do, and that's just not true. It's just not true at all.
I know it.
It's an easy way to get the gun neutral side. And that's really what I care about the most, right? Because I look at humans and I say there's usually three groups. It's the pro-gun, it's the gun neutral, and then it's the anti-gun, right? And we're probably never getting the anti-gun. Just like an anti-gun probably not going to get a pro-gun person to cross over.
Yeah.
What I care about is this middle group that's like, okay, I don't even know. I feel emotional about this, but I don't know why, and I need to be educated, right? And then you get, okay, now I understand. Now I understand why you guys take this stance, and that's what I care about is here. Not this side. This side's my echo chamber. They're going to support me regardless.
Of course. Yeah, no doubt about that. No doubt. So Mike, how many years has Walk the Talk America been in business?
2018. We are a 501c3. One of the reasons why I started this, because let's just go back, right? I'm third generation firearms industry professional. I got my job through nepotism. I wasn't a gun guy when I started, but it just made sense to kind of go into the family business, or I was told I was going into the family business. But I had Eagle Imports, which was an importer, and that's when we worked together.
Yeah.
I provided you some guns from Bursa. Years ago, and in 2009, the president of my company, who was a dear friend of mine, took his life with one of our firearms.
You're kidding.
No, so suicide by firearm is something that I've been affected by,
Wow.
like super personally, right? So I always wanted to do something to honor him, but I never knew what that was.
Okay.
So in 2018, I was with Rafael Devalle from
Raphael, my man.
yeah, from Bursa.
Yeah.
He was my national sales manager at the time, and we were celebrating a victory for Eagle. We had just made a big sale with Lipsy's, which is a distributor in Louisiana. So we went out in New Orleans that night, and we met this lady who is at this restaurant by herself, and we were waiting for our table, and she was really cool.
Mhm.
We really enjoyed her company. And we're like, hey, just join us. Like, come sit down at the table with us. She didn't know anything about guns. So now she's at dinner with us, and she's got two gun industry professionals that she could just ask questions to, right? So she's asking us, what happens during a mass shooting? And I'm like, everybody blames us.
Of
I
course.
said, we blame mental health.
Uh-huh.
And then nothing ever gets done. And she asked one question, which basically changed my life. She said, if you know you can't work with the mental health community on restrictive things for firearms, right? Like, how do you work together on the things you agree upon? And, I was like, I don't think we do. And Raphael's like, yeah, we really should be giving like $1 a gun to mental health. He just is saying, whatever came to it. But I became obsessed with that idea. And I was like, well, this would be really cool. What can we do together? Right. And at first I thought, let me just throw money at it. Maybe we could raise money from the gun industry, give it to the mental health community, and they could solve our problems. And at the time, I didn't even know if there was a mental health organization out there that would be gun friendly.
Yeah.
So I went home and I did a lot of research, and I found Mental Health America, whose opening remark on their position paper 72 was, we're going to stay gun neutral. And I said, I got to work with these people. So I reached out to them, and the rest is history, right? It was a real eye opener to learn that there was no programs that they had. There was no easy solution, and it wasn't going to be as easy as giving money to the mental health community, because anybody could do that. So for me, it was, okay, how do we take their things like screenings, right, and all their resources, and integrate them into the gun community? And the first idea that we came up with was the card for the boxes, right?
Beautiful.
Yeah, and these screenings are free and anonymous, which gun owners love, especially the anonymous part.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like we all love that.
No doubt.
And for me, it was I don't really care if someone doesn't go take a screening. We're not saying everybody needs a screening, but I want you to be aware that it's there, and I want you to be it's available to you.
No, of course.
And looking at the card, right? We say, as firearms owners, we often have a tough time admitting that we need help. And we're here saying we're from the gun community, and this is an organization that we started. This is homegrown. This is from within. If you look at my board of directors, it's a who's who of the gun industry.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is perfect for me to get the gun community to start thinking about mental health, because for so long it was that thing we didn't talk about.
Yep.
And when Bill died in 2009, that was my friend and the president of the company. It's like we buried him, and then we just kept it moving, And back then, you didn't talk about mental health, and you didn't talk about suicide, because we knew it was going to be used against us, right? And we had to change that, because not talking about it and not, I wouldn't say doing anything about it, I think we just didn't know how to do something about it, really worked against us. Because who did we start losing? Our first responders, our active duty military, our combat vets. These are people, if you go into any gun show, if you go into the NRA show or you go to SHOT Show, our industry just attracts that crowd.
Oh, yeah.
It's natural, right? And so here we are losing so many of the people we love and that support us, but we're not addressing this issue, and it didn't feel right. So here we are, cut to 2018. This organization takes off. I didn't know where it was going to go, and we're here 5 years later.
Yeah.
So
And it keeps growing, right?
it keeps growing, and yeah, we're branching out into all kinds of different avenues. Um, it's just really cool, like I said, to start seeing the firearms industries almost say like, no, you don't get to use this against us. This is a need. And just think about this, like we have so many organizations out there that are fighting suicide,
Hmm.
right? Every state has their coalitions and everything like that, but most of these people don't know how to talk to us. So what happens is when they try to talk to us as gun owners, they say really bizarre stuff and we shut down, right? Like
Yeah.
we're just like, be safe. It's like, I'll teach you about gun safety. Like gun owners are really funny.
Yeah.
Like gun owners watch movies. How many times do you guys do this? Like we watch a movie and we see we see someone muzzle flash somebody,
Oh yeah.
or we see no trigger discipline, and we
Uh-huh.
point that out like as we're watching this
Yep,
movie.
yep, yep.
And it's kind of like, okay, so you know, you mean well, you're trying to talk to me about safety, but you don't realize that I am so safe with this gun. What you really mean is responsibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's understanding unauthorized access, storing your firearms properly. It's like safety makes you shut down. It's like, don't act like we're not safe. We are some of the
Yeah.
safest people on the planet.
True.
Like, yeah. So, for me, it's been fun to kind of show, because we have the valuable space. We have the gun shops, we have the trainers, and we have the boxes, right, of
Mhm,
all the
mhm,
manufacturers.
mhm.
So it's fun to watch all these people who genuinely want to help. They do. I feel like for the most part, most people that want to prevent suicide and they want to promote better mental health, if they're not gun people, they just don't know how to help us. We're a very intimidating group, I think, for a lot of outsiders,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
imagine a mental health clinician walking into your gun shop and it's like, where do I start to try to even build a relationship?
Uh-huh.
If I don't know anything about
Exactly.
firearms, and I'm going to
Exactly.
talk to them about safety and
Yeah.
but now we're bridging that gap, right? We're like showing them this is what we're up to, and we can help you with the language, we can help you with the connection, we can help you.
This is fantastic stuff. Mike, what you're doing is amazing.
Thank you.
Seriously. I mean, putting this thing together, I tell you, you did it. You knocked it out of the park. This is something that's been needed for a long time.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, there were many, 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 many nights where I was like, "What am I doing?" Trust me, because it was something so new, and I didn't want to leave the gun industry. I sold Eagle Imports in 2018 when this started to take off. Actually, like more closer to 2019, because I felt it was like a calling. There was too many good things happening, and it was like, and it's still going, and it's still getting momentum, and it took many years. The first 2 years, I pretty much self-funded this thing.
Wow.
Yeah, just because I think the gun industry needed to see like
Oh yeah.
he's
Yeah.
going to be around, and this is not a
Uh,
fly-by-night thing, and and now it's a full-time career. So
but now these gun companies are recognizing it, and it's good to see that.
well, yeah, and
Yeah.
we need it. I mean, we're under attack
Oh yeah.
for
Of
everything,
course.
and like I said, like I hate to use Daniel Defense as this example, and I'm working with Daniel Defense. I think we're making some progress, but I said to their marketing guy, I said, look, you're getting pulled into these lawsuits, and they're finding these loopholes to sue you because of the way you marketed something, which is completely BS. Like
Yeah.
I said that earlier, right? But wouldn't it be great to stand up in front of the court and tell the jury or tell the judge or tell somebody, no, 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 no. We try to get our customer help before stage 4, before they do something,
Yeah, exactly.
and show all these examples of this is what we do in our box.
Yeah.
This is what we promote on our website. Don't just take one ad that says, "Are you a man?" Like, and use that against us as if
Yeah.
that caused a kid to go into a school and do something horrific.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So I think we got to get proactive.
No, 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got to get ahead of it. First of all, we got to not deny, deny that these things happen. Yes, guns have negative outcomes. They also have way more positive outcomes.
You're right about that. You're
Right?
about
Like,
that. Uh-huh.
but we can't say, like, I always get tired of when people say like, well, someone wants to kill themselves, they're just going to do it anyways. So it's like, well, yeah, we do kind of understand that if they're hell bent on it,
Hmm.
but it doesn't mean that we as a gun community can't try to put the resources and the help in front of the gun owner
Oh,
and
of course.
try to get there before. And if they go do something else, if they go outside of the gun, that's horrible, but at least it's one less mark against the industry, right?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that's what.
And that's what it's all about. It's about, educating people, putting this in front of their face and showing them, like we do with the safety. How important is gun safety?
Mhm.
How important is this mental health thing?
Yeah.
It's all really, really things that are for a gun owner is extremely important.
Yeah,
know?
people ask me all the time, like, why do you focus on the gun? And I'm like, because I'm from the gun industry. If I worked in the rope industry, maybe I would do. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, but to me, I love the industry.
Of course. Speaking of the industry, I hear that you are starting a new line of your own firearm.
Yes, there's a firearm. We have it right here.
Okay.
It's called Avidity Arms. This is a project of mine that I've been working on. Many of you that are watching the show that are familiar with me are probably laughing right now because this thing took longer than Chinese Democracy by Guns N' Roses or Detox by Dr. Dre. This is like a 7 or 8 year project.
Really?
Well, yeah, and the worst part about building your own firearm from scratch, because I was an importer,
Oh yeah, yeah.
right? And so for people listening at home, I had a company called Eagle Imports. This is no longer around. I sold it in 2018. And basically what we did is we represented gun manufacturers that weren't big enough to have their own manufacturing or representation in the United States. So if you had a gun and you were from Colombia and you're like, I want to break into the U.S. market, you would find somebody like my family, and we would buy the guns from you. We'd handle your sales, your marketing, your customer service, your warranty, right? It was like a turnkey operation
Yeah.
for you to break in the U.S. market. So I never really had my own gun. I represented Bursa, I represented Grand Power, I represented Metro Arms. These are guns from the Philippines, Slovakia, Argentina. He had a gun from Spain called SPS. But for me, I never had something that I made my own. So this was a project that I started with Rob Pincus, who's a world-renowned trainer.
Okay.
And basically I went to Rob and said, if you were to build your own 9mm defensive pistol and you could put it together any way you want it, this is what he came up with. But the hardest part about what we were doing is I wasn't a gun manufacturer. Either was Rob, right? Rob's a marketing guy. I was the president of Eagle. It was very difficult for us to build this gun in pieces. Now, cut 2 years later, we actually have a manufacturing plant called Alpha Tech out of North Carolina. And this year was the first year we started shipping these guns.
Oh,
So this
very
is
nice.
a little bit of a unicorn.
Now I like the feel of it for sure. No question about it. I really, 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 really do. It feels great. Feels everything. I haven't shot it yet, and that's the next step. But so this is basically your design. This whole thing, huh?
Well, it's Rob's design. I let him, like I said, he's the trainer. He's the one that's out there teaching. He's the instructor. So he created all of the ergonomics and everything to what he thought was the perfect self-defense pistol. It's 10 shot, 10+1. It's extremely light and slim.
Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah. There's aspects to this firearm that he put on there, like the claw base plate and things like that. If you go to our website, avidityarms.com, you can see all the specs and the reasoning why, and there's also articles and reviews and everything about this firearm. But it retails for around $625.
Not bad.
Most importantly, I know, like, people growing up in the firearms industry and not being a gun guy and just kind of getting forced into it. People always ask me, "Well, why is your gun special? Why is this gun special?" And it's weird. I'm too close to it because when people ask me like, "Why should I buy this gun?" or "Why is this gun better than this gun?" I always say, like, the first thing that is most important is it feels good in your hand, right? And that you feel like you can control it and you like the
Yeah.
way that gun. I think that's a very important thing.
Big time. That's what we do with all our first time gun owners. We have them feel a bunch of different models of guns. because one gun might be right for one person, one gun might be right for another person. It all
Right.
depends on a personal preference and how it feels.
Yeah. So for me, like, I think this gun feels great, but
I do too.
it's my baby,
No,
right?
I agree. I'm not sugarcoating it. It
Yeah,
feels really good.
No,
It feels nice.
I appreciate that, but Avidity Arms is now my opportunity to also run a gun company the way that I wanted to. I always had to be cognizant of the feelings of my gun manufacturers
Mhm.
at Eagle, right? Um, but our core belief system, what we believe in, the box is over there. But if you open up the box, we do the card, right?
Good,
We
good.
promote mental health. We want to be more than just we sold you a gun and that's it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
We really want people to understand our philosophy and really tap into the training aspect. That's really important for Rob. We preach, responsible gun ownership, responsible storage.
Good, good. That's it. That's what we're all about.
Yeah, and we don't get political. Like we stay out of that stuff. Like
Mhm.
we welcome all gun owners that are interested in being involved in the 2A. Obviously, we have a whole new demographic of gun owners that happened after.
Oh yeah.
you know,
That's a lot more females too.
yeah,
Nikki, this would be a good gun for you to try
I would love to try it.
because it feels good. It's light. I like everything about it. I think you would like this, Nikki.
I'll try it. What's the kickback like?
I mean,
it-
I
That's our question's always, what's the kickback like before I shoot this?
I think you'd be able to handle it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I think you've been around a few guns.
Oh,
Okay.
she went. It was so funny because when we were filming the new trailer of the show, and we're at the range, we gave her a 45 to shoot. She'd go into the trainer. What's the kickback like? And he's like, just
I
don't
want to
worry.
know. I just want to know what to expect. That's all.
And you know what she did? She did amazing. She just took charge.
Yeah, no, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're good.
Now calibers. Just
Right now, it's
we're at
just 9.
Okay.
Yeah, just get. It took 7 years for us to make this. Come on, like let's slow down before we start rocking it.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. No, I love it. I would like to take it out and definitely shoot it. One of these days.
Yeah, 100%. I'd love for you to have that, but it's good. This is my, I love Walk Talk America. This is my main thing, but
It's Mike. It's fantastic. I can't say enough about it. I brag about your company to everybody. Everybody, even our students who come in. I always hit Walk the Talk America.
no, I know you go. I had you on my show.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
great.
once I remember when you found out about Walk Talk, I think it's Raphael that said, "Hey,
Yeah,
Mike's
yeah.
doing this thing." You called me and you're like, "Let's get together." So I really appreciate the support you give me on that.
100%. I mean, again, this is going to play a big part in our show too. 'Cause,
Yeah.
Once we start rolling on this thing.
If I can't, gun owners, I can't stress enough. There is nothing wrong with having a suicide prevention plan and a better mental health plan as a gun owner. We need to make that part of our curriculum.
That's true. That's true.
It really, like, there's nothing worse than you not being here. Like,
Yeah.
it trumps everything. Like, we need you here. You're part of the gun community. When you own a gun, you're part of the gun community, whether you like it or not. You're a gun owner.
That's
you
true.
know, and it's just for far too long. I know this stuff was used against us, but look at the numbers, and that's really where the problem is. It's suicide, and also too just being in a better space mentally, just will be so much better for everybody else in your life.
Oh, you said it there. That's for sure. 100% there. Well, Mike, this has been just great having you on the show. I'm glad you got to come aboard and talk about it in depth too, about the company and your new gun company as well.
Yeah,
It's been
Avidity Arms.
fantastic. I want to keep, this. We're going to keep this relationship going. Obviously, got a lot to talk to you about after the show as well. Different ideas I have, and yeah, let's just keep pushing this.
Yeah, Brian, thank you. Like I said, for the support, and I know you came to Vegas and I went home with a bunch of cards and a bunch
yeah.
of wristbands and everything like that. So I thank you for helping me get this message out here on your show and everything.
100%. We're aboard. I mean, this is great stuff, Mike. Again, buddy, thank you for coming aboard. One last time for the audience to find you. The website and everything for Walk the Talk America is
WTTA.org
WTTA.org. Okay.
or walkthetalkamerica.org.
Okay.
And then for Avidity Arms, it's Avidity, like AVIDITY, arms.com.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I really would suggest everybody check out Walk the Talk America. If you might even know somebody in your life that might need this help, just do it. Just research it. Research and get educated.
We're going to leave all the websites and all your information on the description box below, so anyone can click on your links and website.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I appreciate that.
All right. Well, Mike, again, one more time, thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
It's been a pleasure. Okay, Nikki, well, could you tell everybody where they can find us?
Yes, we are on Instagram at openarms.tv, YouTube openarms.tv, and Twitter openarmsdt. And again, all the links for us and Walk the Talk America will be listed below.
Very good. And one last thing, always remember safety, family, and the Second Amendment. Have a good day.